Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Let me quickly take you through the headlines before we get down to our top story for the day. Uneasy calm on the streets of Nepal after army takes control. Kathmandu International Airport reopens, curfew to stay in place till 6 a.m. tomorrow. India Today continues to report from ground zero.
India Today is now giving you exclusive pictures from inside Nepal's parliament, which was set on fire. See the flames which are still ablaze inside the floor of the house of the parliament building, of the parliament complex.
As Nepal limped towards normalcy, consensus amongst Gen Z protesters built through online voting to make former Chief Justice of Nepal, Sushila Karki, as head of government. India-US trade talks continue. US President Donald Trump says trade negotiations on, looking forward to speak with Prime Minister in few weeks. Prime Minister Modi responds, calls India and US natural partners. Amidst political turmoil, block everything protests intensify in France. Buses set on fire, roads and trains blocked, nearly 200 people arrested. 80,000 security forces deployed on ground. Big move towards nationwide special intensive revision of voter rolls. Election Commission of India holds key meet. Chief electoral officers and asked them to finish paperwork and start preparations. The legal battle over Sanjay Kapoor's wealth intensifies. Delhi High Court asks Priya Sachdev Kapoor to list out Sanjay's assets. A plea was filed by actor Karishma Kapoor's children seeking their share. All right, the latest news break, viewers, now coming in from Nepal. The death toll has reached 30. There were many who were critically injured. Some of them have now succumbed to injuries. Over 1,000 injured were admitted to the hospitals. Injured protesters admitted to hospitals across Nepal on 48 hours of complete mayhem that reigned on the streets of Kathmandu and other nerve centers. Curfew to stay in Nepal till 6 a.m. tomorrow. Things now slowly limping back to normalcy. The army continuing to guard streets of Nepal. These are visuals, of course, that were beamed live across television channels, international television channels as well, on what you see on your television screen. Arson, violence, public figures, political figures attacked, institutions, be it political or private, being attacked, hotels being attacked, set on fire, all of that now under control. The airport, International Tribhuvan Airport of Kathmandu has now reopened for flights, but the death toll has reached 30. Unfortunately, the fatalities are set to rise even more. Some of the injured have been critical. This, of course, following what we saw of 3 days of complete chaos that reigned on the streets of Nepal. Anarchy of the last 24 hours also peaking, which resulted in the fall of the Nepal government. The latest, of course, that we can tell our viewers in terms of fatality, the count is 30. However, things are way calmer than what they were yesterday. Life slowly limping back to normal, but the remnants of that still remain. Meanwhile, the Nepal crisis is also strangely singeing the political dynamics of India. A warning by opposition parties that similar scenes could be witnessed, especially with the youth of anger, has been replied by the BJP, suggesting that this is a sinister ploy of the opposition, hoping that similar scenes take place here.
Youth of Nepal have pulled down those in power protesting against corruption, nepotism and lack of economic growth. It resulted in the resignation of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and a majority of his cabinet. Opposition leaders across the border in India fear that this anger of the youth can spill over and burn India as well.
नेपाल भारत का एक एक सीमावर्ती ऐसा देश है जो बिहार से सटा है, जो वेस्ट बंगाल से उनसे बहुत सा एक भाग है, वो वेस्ट बंगाल से भी जुड़ा हुआ है, थोड़ा यूपी से भी जुड़ा हुआ है। ये आग जो है वो करप्शन के खिलाफ है। ये आग जो है नेपाल में लगी है, ये तानाशाही के खिलाफ है। भारत की स्थिति भी ठीक नहीं है, ये ऊपर ऊपर सब दिखा रहे हैं। लोग अंदर अंदर बहुत अस्वस्थ और असंतोषी है, तो सबको सावधान रहना चाहिए।
Shiv Sena mouthpiece Samna in his editorial published on Wednesday said, and I quote, "The fire in Nepal is a spark of hunger and unemployment. India should learn a lesson from this. There has been a destruction of employment in India. 80 crore people have to survive on 5 to 10 kilos of ration given free by the government. Modi Shah are winning elections by destroying democracy. All the pillars of democracy seem to be collapsing. The politics of religion and caste has reached its peak. All these disorders are dangerous for the country."
यहाँ का भी युवा जो है आज आपको शांत दिख रहा है, वो बेरोजगार है, उसकी बहुत समस्या है। ये मोदी प्रधानमंत्री जी हमारे 80 करोड़ लोगों को मुफ्त राशन देता है, उसका मतलब क्या है? ये लोग गरीब आज भी है, 10 किलो राशन पर जी रहे हैं। नेपाल की हालत भी ऐसे ही है, ऐसी थी। और आप लोग भारत में भी यहाँ से पूरा पैसा विदेश में जा रहा है। हाँ, किसका बेटा दुबई में बैठा है, किसका बेटा सिंगापुर में बैठा है। और ये चिंगारी भारत में अगर आती है तो भारत बड़ा देश है, लोकतंत्र है, लेकिन भारत आज तक जो बचा है वो सिर्फ यहाँ महात्मा गांधी का जन्म हुआ था और गांधी को आज भी ये देश मानता है, इसलिए ये लोग बचे हुए हैं।
Pointing to the earlier unrest and protest in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan and other neighboring countries, the Samna editorial said, and I quote, "The people overthrew the governments of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh because corruption had become unbearable. When the spark of self-respect ignites in the minds of the people, it does not take long for it to flare up. Then people do not even care about guns and cannons." Unquote.
यहाँ भी स्थिति आप बेरोजगारी, युवकों में बेरोजगारी है, या 2-3 लोगों के हाथों में जिस प्रकार पूरे हमारे राष्ट्र की संपत्ति जो है, और जिस प्रकार मोदी जी कृत्य कर रहे हैं, तो एक शंकित लोग हैं। और मैं समझता हूँ कि सबक है, कांग्रेस ने इतनी जड़ें इसकी मजबूत की हैं कि यहाँ के ऐसे हालत नहीं है।
IT cell head of BJP, Amit Malviya, replied to opposition warnings on social media. In his post in X, he warned the opposition back that when fire rages, it will burn indiscriminately and would not be selective in its target. Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, viewers, I interviewed Nishikant Dubey, 4 times MP, Lok Sabha of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and he made a claim that Rahul Gandhi is hoping for a similar Nepal-like situation back in India. He said the ploy is the toolkit of what happened in Sri Lanka, then what happened in Bangladesh, and now what's happening in Nepal is being used by Rahul Gandhi along with foreign powers in India to foment the same kind of trouble. Listen in.
आपने ये भी बोला है कि जो राहुल गांधी हैं, जो नेपाल में हो रहा है अभी, जो पहले बांग्लादेश में हुआ, उसके पहले श्रीलंका में हुआ, वो भारत में भी वही चाहते हैं। बहुत बड़ा स्टेटमेंट है।
आप ये समझिए कि बांग्लादेश में क्या यही हुआ ना कि वोट चोरी, इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो है रिगिंग की। आपको वो पैटर्न नहीं नजर आता। महाराष्ट्र में लोकसभा के चुनाव में मोदी जी या भारतीय जनता पार्टी, केंद्र सरकार ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट कि राज्य सरकार ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट? आप आरोप किसके ऊपर लगा रहे हैं? इलेक्शन कमीशन के ऊपर लगा रहे हैं, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी सरकार के ऊपर लगा रहे हैं। उसी महाराष्ट्र में आपने बुरी तरीके से भारतीय जनता पार्टी को हराया लोकसभा चुनाव, उसी ईवीएम से हराया।
तो आप कह रहे हैं जो ये वोट चोरी और वोट फ्रॉड की बात राहुल गांधी के,
ये सब सोरोस फाउंडेशन के सारे पर वो कर रहे हैं। वो वैसी ताकतें जो आप देख लीजिए ना, नेपाल में भी वोट चोरी का ही सवाल हुआ। दूसरा बात, आप
नेपाल में वोट चोरी का सवाल,
यही सवाल जो बालन शाह जो चुनाव जीता 2022 से ये मामला चल रहा है, उस वक्त भी यही बात हुआ ना कि हम तो किसी तरह से जीत गए, नहीं तो आपने आपको हमको हराने की कोशिश की, वो इंडिपेंडेंट था। वालेन साहब मतलब 2022 से जो आंदोलन चला और उसके बाद जो माहौल बना, उसके बाद करप्शन, उसने करप्शन अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट उसको इशू बना लिया। लेकिन पहला इशू जो है काठमांडू में वोट चोरी से इशू हुआ 2022
of politicians of the way they have been living, corruption.
नहीं, पहला जो वालेन साहब जीता, वालेन साहब ने जो अपना चुनाव का कैंपेन जेड जो स्टार्ट किया, उसके पीछे रीजन वही था। 2022 में वो चुनाव जब जीता तो इसी के आधार पर चुनाव जीता और उसने उसको आगे बढ़ाया।
पर वो तो एक बहुत पॉपुलर लीडर है, मतलब जेनजी के साथ में एक रैपर रहे हैं, तो उनका तो मतलब अलग ही वो रीच है।
नहीं 2022 में जब काठमांडू का वो मेयर हुआ, तो उसने वोट चोरी ही बड़ा विषय बनाया कि रिगिंग होती है। इस बार अपने को वोट रिग रोकना है, वोट रिगिंग।
तो आप कह रहे हैं उसकी वजह से अभी जो तो लिंक है,
तो जब उसी का नेता बना तो उस नेता ने इन चीजों को फिर करप्शन में आगे बढ़ाया, एम्प्लॉयमेंट पे आगे बढ़ाया। आज क्या हो रहा है, आप अग्निवीर के नाम पर लोगों को भड़काने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, आप करप्शन के ऊपर जो है खुद करप्ट लोगों के साथ घूम रहे हो, उसके बाद जो है तेजस्वी यादव से लेकर लालू प्रसाद यादव तक आप जब घूमते हो तो क्या काम कर रहे हो। तो आप जो है बांग्लादेश और नेपाल बनाने की जब कोशिश करते हो, तो मैंने वही बातें कही है, इसमें कोई गलत नहीं कहा है कि जो राहुल गांधी जी जो एजेंडा को सेट करते, जैसे जातिगत जनगणना, यदि आपको ध्यान हो तो सोर्स फाउंडेशन का आधार है, उसने टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में 2021 के पहले कांग्रेस के एजेंडा में थे ही नहीं, वो उसके खिलाफ थे।
पर निशिकांत जी, आप तो हमेशा कहते हैं कि कौन सुनता है राहुल गांधी की, तो अगर वो वोट चोरी वोट फ्रॉड बोल रहे हैं और आप कह सकते हैं, आप कह रहे हैं कि वो एक ऐसी व्यवस्था क्रिएट कर देंगे इंडिया में जो नेपाल में हो रही है, तो मतलब उनका तो फिर प्रभाव है।
उसको यदि कोई सीरियसली नहीं ले रहा है, लेकिन वो जो नैरेटिव बने,
अच्छा,
उस नैरेटिव के आधार पर जो देश में होना है उसके बारे में मैं कह रहा हूं। डेमोक्रेसी के लिए मैं आपको बताऊं कि राहुल गांधी जो काम कर रहे हैं और राहुल गांधी को जो लोग सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, यहां इस देश को टुकड़े टुकड़े कर देंगे और कोई नहीं बचेगा, सबको यहां से बाहर आ।
All right, viewers. So at one end, you have Sanjay Raut in the editorial of Samna and the opposition warning the government that youth anger can spill over on the streets of India too. On the other hand, you have the BJP, you had Mr. Dubey there, Nishikant Dubey, stating that the opposition, the likes of Rahul Gandhi, is trying to foment similar situations in India like in Nepal through a toolkit supported by a foreign hand, especially using the trope of vote chori and trying to instigate the youth. For a larger discussion in this, let's cut across to our political panel. I have with me Rajat Sethi, political commentator, Dr. Ajoy Kumar, spokesperson Congress, Sanjay Jha, political analyst, Ratan Sharda, author and analyst. I want to begin right now with Dr. Ajoy Kumar. Dr. Ajoy Kumar, number one, these are sensitive times. India is surrounded by neighbors, which is, to say the least, are hostile in nature. What happened in Sri Lanka, what happened in Bangladesh, what happened in Nepal, to suggest that similar situations could play out on the streets of India, somewhere down the line, doesn't really fit in well from the opposition. What are we looking at? Are we hoping a similar situation happens in India, Dr. Kumar?
No, the problem is when you caution.
Can we get the timer, please? Go ahead, sir.
So you have to start from the time right now again. When you caution, you take it the other way around. It's very rich. I was seeing Nishikant Dubey, I think it was at his residence. Fancy statues, fancy places. That's where the people are getting agitated. The lifestyle of people in India and the politicians, with no known sources of income, whatever it is that is what is troubling the people, and it's all visible in Instagram. The Nepo kids. Look at the Nepo kids, whether it's in the cricket board, whether it's the guys in the foundation. And the BJP needs to answer. They will keep talking about it. And Nishikant Dubey is a strange character for us because Mr. Nadda only disowned him for the statement against the Supreme Court. Mr. Fadnavis disowned him for the statement against Uddhav Thackeray. The man who spews lies morning to evening, who keeps saying, don't take Rahul Gandhi seriously. What is the agitation in Nepal you have been reporting? It's on corruption. Why is the BJP MP so sensitive on that? On destruction of institutions, you look at the Election Commission under threat. You look at the amount of stories which are coming out, judiciary, whether it was our time, their time, but news are coming out on various information on judiciary. The amount of the civil servants corruption, the amount of corruption in the roads and everything else, you don't think the people are watching? The ethanol scam, the highway scam, and the responsibility of the TV channels to continuously highlight. Punjab is a good example. Look at the people of Punjab suffering, or Uttarakhand, no relief for them. Those are issues which you all are reporting. I'm not saying you're not, but I'm saying some are not. Those issues need to be highlighted where the people are suffering. And that is my state, that if 80 crore people are living on ration, free ration, if the average salary of the Indians are less than 20,000 rupees, 80%, Preeti, it is a bad situation.
I'll turn around, sir. You know, you might say it's a bad situation. You can use it politically, but in the larger interest of the country to say, or even to put that thought out there, that what happened in Nepal, you might say it's a word of caution, but it sounds like a warning. And, you know, for the opposition, you know, there can be internal politics, but to put it out there at a time where Nepal is practically burning, where every institution has been burned to cinders in Nepal, is it irresponsible is the question. I'll circle back to you on that. Rajat Sethi, I want to bring you in. Let me flip it around, Rajat Sethi. You have the BJP, like in the form of Mr. Nishikant Dubey, who is actually suggesting, by bringing up issues of vote chori, by bringing up issues of, of attacking institutions like the Election Commission, you're trying to instigate youth and trying to instigate something that happened in Nepal, in Bangladesh, in India, with the help of a foreign hand. All of this, allegations against Rahul Gandhi and the Congress.
So, again, these are allegations and political parties are in the job of making allegations. I won't go in there. Let me take a more philosophical understanding of where India is and why are these protests the way opposition might wish things to happen in some kind of a sinister plot won't happen in our country. See, India has seen a couple of instances when students have hit the streets. One was in the run-up to the emergency, just prior to that, the couple of years prior to that, when we saw the dictatorial tendencies of Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister. And that led to people and to the entire JP movement on the ground. And the second, again, during the UPA days, was when the Anna movement started. In both these scenarios, they were undeniable prima facie excesses of the government or corruption cases of the government which was established, and it genuinely led to spillover on the streets. And thereafter, look at the Modi years. We've consistently seen the only instant when people in the public were on the streets was on the farm issue. Over there, some of the biggest farm leaders were writing articles to support the kind of reforms that Prime Minister had done. So it could not, during the last 10 years, it could not spiral into something bigger, contrary to the expectations of the opposition, primarily because opposition has never walked the talk. It is not like they're corruption free. It is not like they have ushered in huge, generations and decades of high-paced development in our country. So the alternative is so bad that why will people rally on the ground when their principal needs are met? A, B, they are seeing that the intent of the government remains in place. So while the opposition might want to wishfully wait for that moment when a Nepal or a Bangladesh is going to happen, let me tell you, at a decentralized level, at a disaggregated level, in India, it is not possible. Secondly, prima facie, there has not been a single case where either the theft of vote or a case of corruption has ever been established by the opposition. So there is no case only whatsoever for any kind of spillover of anger on the streets.
Okay. Sanjay Jha, to come to you now. Nepal is the third neighbor of India that is witnessing a regime change through street protests and what seemingly is youth anger. One might suggest that there is a foreign hand in all of this, but there is a huge chunk which actually believes of the takedown of corruption and, all the facets of that. But Sanjay Jha, at this juncture, which is as sensitive with Nepal burning, is it correct for the opposition to get into the trope of caution, warning, it could happen here, the youth is angry? Should that wait?
Preeti, I think the cornerstone of this conversation with you right now seems to be your interview with Mr. Dubey, the same gentleman who made allegations against the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, blaming the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice primarily of creating a civil war or a religious war in this country. I mean, absurd, irresponsible, ludicrous. These are the words of the Supreme Court. So I really don't think we should take his words seriously. His attacking Rahul Gandhi is also probably a message to probably or the entire vote bank of the BJP that Rahul Gandhi has got under the skin because he's leading a campaign in Bihar and the rest of the country for the poor, for the oppressed, for democracy and the constitution. Things that upset the BJP because they don't adhere to it. As far as Nepal is concerned, let's kind of understand what's going on there. It is not on account of a mere social media ban. And if you go back to what happened in Sri Lanka in 2022 and Bangladesh in 2024, these were spontaneous protests that took a life of its own because of state oppression. I mean, these are basically all countries, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, are manifestations of an economic turmoil, largely on account of inequality, on account of what we call as crony capitalism, resulting in a very polarized environment, worsened by the death of civil liberties and a very authoritarian government that was at core corrupt. So if the opposition today says that there are certain symptomatic, shall we say, congruence between what happened there and the issues that we debate regularly on your channel that you are part of, I mean, I don't think that is in any way trying to insinuate that India should face that danger. And this is a tragedy under the BJP and Mr. Modi's government, that even when you caution with goodwill, it is called as anti-national.
Okay.
Bizarre.
All right, fair point. So, the fact is, Sanjay, I'll come back to you because it's okay. Leave alone with what Nishikant Dubey said or what his claims are that Rahul Gandhi is hoping to foment the same kind of trouble here. That aside. But the sheer fact, the opposition since the last 24 hours is constantly harping on the fact that the same scenes can play out there, which prompts me to get in Ratan Sharda. Flip that, Ratan Sharda. What's so wrong with that? Because you have three, Nepal is the third neighbor of India to face very similar, pattern. It's the playbook, clearly, which went out first in Sri Lanka, then Bangladesh, then Nepal. What's so wrong for a responsible opposition to say that we have lessons to learn? Let's not go down the path. This is exactly the job of the opposition.
First of all, Preeti, let us understand the things, how they happen. First of all, it is not youth who is angry in India. It is the frustrated opposition which is angry that since 2014, usurpers of the throne, as they call it, as they feel about the Gandhi family, are ruling despite all that protestations, about all that angry frustration on the streets. Secondly, we forget that Nepal is the first case where a revolution done by communists has turned sour, it has become corrupt, it has become anti-democratic, and it has collapsed. So this collapse of the communist regime is a warning for people who are trying to follow the same path. And also remember, how did this communist regime came in power? Our opposition, which is today crying horse, the leftist, let their so-called march for democracy by trying to overthrow monarchy, which ultimately happened. And these, our own politicians are responsible for the mess that is there in Nepal today, especially left politicians. Further, why it doesn't work in India? Because in India, every few months there is election. Somewhere the opposition wins, somewhere the same cribbers win, somewhere BJP wins, and people know that all this EVM, vote chori hasn't worked because they've got the government that they voted for. So what are we talking about? And they were first, they were claiming, they were bitter that Modi ji is distributing grains which are lying rotten. And today they are saying that is a sign of poverty.
Timer has gone off. I'm trying to figure out what has happened to it. But, okay, you still have 30 seconds, sir. Make your point.
Okay. So my say is that toolkit is same, but in India it won't work because of the huge diversity, and if they feel that is going to help them. Remember, half the India is under opposition party's rule, and this chaos can hit everybody. So if we are ready for that kind of civil war situation, I think these are veterans of the West because left, because that is what they claim, and they are today supporting a dynast, a person who has never done one good work in life as a political leader, except taking a walk here and there.
Okay. Ratan Sharda, I'll come back to you. You can complete your statement. But is it, is it right to say that the youth is not angry at all? It is only the frustration of political parties, because we don't know that. No, there are no absolutes. But you had a point, and I want to bring in Dr. Kumar into this conversation back. Dr. Ajoy Kumar, Wouldn't you reckon that the institutions in the country are way too strong? The sheer fact that the opposition and you can continue to say what you do, we see the kind of protests that we do, that we are not a Nepal, we are not a Bangladesh, we're definitely not a Sri Lanka.
So first we want to tell you clearly that a warning, if a doctor tells you that, listen, you're going to die if you smoke, it's not we want you to die. We don't want India to go through that at all. So first of all, get out of this nonsense of, the Nishikant Dubey or anyone of the BJP talking, holier than thou. They are in power, so they must disabuse themselves of this bullshit. Second issue is, Rajat is a good friend, Mr. Rakesh, Ratan Sharda should also tell me, what is this Nishikant Dubey telling about Muslim CEC? What about the 3 ex-CEC saying that the election process is leaving so much to doubt? What is Nishikant Dubey and the BJP not suspending him for attacking the Supreme Court judges? Those are institutions, sir. What are you talking about, Rahul Gandhi? Your guys are attacking institutions. The third part is Ratan Shardaji conveniently forgot that Sri Lanka had a right-wing government. Bangladesh had a economic powerhouse government. He's saying only communist. That is also okay, allowed to misread history or misinterpret history or reinterpret history. One was a Buddhist country, one was a Muslim country, one was a Hindu nation. So these kind of illogical correlations, sir, sorry to say you're a well-read person, doesn't buy it, doesn't make sense. We are saying paper leak, corruption. Is corruption a problem in India today, or Modi ji aage sab changa si? Look at the wealth of the increase in the wealth. Look at the people who have become 10 times their crony friends have become billionaires. The fastest growth ever in the history because of competence. Look at their MP who never worked and who remained a director in the company, the gentleman you're interviewing, and the assets he's declared without working. So the question again is whether it is them or us, the corruption, the paper leaks, the joblessness. I want them to tell me honestly, is there a job crisis in India? Yes or no? There is a job crisis. Their own family members, except maybe their family members may not be because they can go abroad and nepo kids or not. But otherwise, there are issues.
So the time is up, and you spoke of all the issues and all the controversial statements that Nishikant Dubey had made in the past. For that, you must watch my podcast, which is going to air at 9 p.m. Saturday. We're going to have excerpts of that earlier on as well. So all of those controversies addressed there. But Rajat Sethi, to get you back into this conversation, the fact is, it's the job of the opposition, and the government can't be in denial. If there is unrest, you have to address it. Even if the opposition is saying something, you have to address it. Why get into the whole, charade of, oh, the opposition is trying to create trouble, there is a foreign hand in all of this, there's a toolkit in play? Why?
Politics. If opposition can do politics, so can the incumbent party as well. They are doing politics as well. They are trying to, tell to the public that look at the opposition. They are trying to dog whistle to you to come hit the streets. The lingo, the words, the nepo kids, all of these references essentially are the dog whistles that are needed, according to the opposition. Now, the problem is that we as citizens, as responsible citizens, have to cut through the clutter, see where is politics and see where the genuine issues are. This is why we have enough safety walls in our mechanism. Our democracy is very mature. We haven't gone through turbulences the way Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal have gone through. They are still going through those basic litmus tests of democracy to have 7 transitions of power. That hasn't happened. This is why we are seeing it. Our institutions, no matter how much of acid Congress wants to, or any other political party for that matter, wants to pour into its roots, our institutions have lived the test of time. This is the reason why we citizens believe that if there is a wrongdoing, if there is an excess of the government in power, there will be institutions which will protect us. Also, we very well know that if any citizen crosses the limit of tearing apart our country and trying to even dream of shredding our country into pieces, that person will not be left on the streets to roam freely. That is the confidence which we have as citizens on our institutions, and this is why our anger doesn't spill over the street. When we see that there is despondency aggregating, the way we saw during the UPA years, when the entire government went absolutely numb. They did not understand the readings that the public was giving. There were enough signals. This is the reason why there was downpour and the roads of Delhi were blocked and choked. The same happened when Prime Minister heard that there is a genuine, perhaps a genuine need from the farmers, no matter how much of the politicking was done by the farm leaders, and they were trying to flip from their own positions. Still, he took back the bills. That is the accommodating pushes and pulls that are required to accommodate.
Okay. Sanjay Jha, our institutions are way too strong for, what's happened in our neighborhood. Hasina never completely hollowed those institutions. You had Rajapaksa who did the same. Nepal never allowed them to take roots. We're a different country. We are none of that.
Unfortunately, the truth, Preeti, is to the contrary, and Rajat will be corrected in the next 15 seconds. Let's talk of only two institutions to begin with. The Election Commission. Until the Supreme Court told the Election Commission in Bihar to put out the data of 65 lakh deleted voters, they did not do it. Until the Supreme Court told the Election Commission to use Aadhaar, they did not do it. You think the ordinary person in Bihar or the rest of the country don't know what's going on? I want to quote for Rajat Sethi's benefit what the Supreme Court said on the ED, the famous ED of the washing machine, hype. Why are you behaving like a crook? Why are you fighting political battles? These are the words of the Supreme Court. So Rahul Gandhi is fighting, and the Congress and the opposition is fighting for the institutional democratic health. And that, you think, are not being observed by the people of India? They are watching. They are aware of what's going on. You think they are not aware, Preeti, of the fact that today 46% of the MPs in parliament elected in the Lok Sabha have a criminal record? You think they're not aware of what happened in the electoral bond scheme? You think they're not aware of how one or two businessmen are getting all the assets of this country? You think 1% of Indians own 60% of our wealth is not being felt by the common man on the street? They are. And I think they exercise that vote when elections come. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest tragedy of India is that under the Narendra Modi government and this BJP, RSS and the right-wing ecosystem, we have been told that if you give constructive criticism or take to the streets to protest, you're an anti-national. You're an anti-national. They're telling 42% of the people of India who voted for the India Alliance, you're anti-national. And you think that's not bothering the people of India?
So your time's up. Ratan Sharda, to get your quick word in, strengthening of institutions, that's where the strength of a democracy lies. What is so wrong in what the opposition is saying, sir? Instead of calling them a toolkit opposition, foreign hand, everything is right, nothing is wrong, only the frustration of the opposition. Aren't we feeding into the same narrative which is playing out in our neighborhood?
First of all, I'm not here to hook my argument onto somebody called Nishikant Dubey. I'm arguing on my own sake. Secondly, you forget Naveen Chawla? And Sanjay himself has given the answer that when something goes wrong with the election commission, Supreme Court is there. But when Supreme Court asks Rahul Gandhi to apologize, we have a serious problem with that. And license Raj and crony capitalism is the gift of Congress. We forget that. And remember, when they talk of, there are different states. I never, in my all social media, I have said, Bangladesh is not a youth revolution. It was purely Islamic revolution. It was based on religious bigotry, and that is what has got Bangladesh where it is. In case of Sri Lanka, it was not a religious revolution. It was again a civilian rebellion by the youth, just like Nepal. Difference is that Nepal, there was leftist party in the command, and they could not control the corruption. And see where in Bangladesh, in Bengal also, where communists ruled for 30 years, they are nowhere to found. They are not to be found anywhere. So we have corrective methodology that we have. And Rajiv Gandhi, when I have no problem with the Bharatiya Janata of Rahul Gandhi. My problem started when Rahul Gandhi stood with Kanhaiya Lal in Bharat Tere Tukde Honge. When Congress stands with Sharjil Imam, who said net kaat do or Northeast ko Bharat se alag kar do. These are the people, these are anti-national, not the opposition parties. But when you stand with such people, there is serious issue with it. And when you challenge, you create chaos in the name of Agniveer, there is a serious problem. Nobody calls you anti-democrat, anti-nation. It is the way you support these Naxals, these Maoists, these anarchists that raises serious point. What are the need for CA to be called something which was totally supported by Supreme Court, and all these SR is also supported by Supreme Court. Don't forget that. SR has got full marks from Supreme Court. You say roles are in a bad shape. At the same time, you oppose SIR. So you do not know what you want. You simply want Modi out in one way or the other. That is the bottom line. I'm very sure people don't go for it. I'm very
Okay. The time is up. I'm going to give all of you just 10 seconds. But Ratan Sharda ji, you do know the video that you speak of Bharat Tere Tukde Honge was doctored, and that was something which was very well established. Sir, you can, I'll come to you first. 10 seconds, sir. Ratan Sharda ji, make a quick point. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kanhaiya Lal case is still going. I don't know whether doctor or
Kanhaiya
not.
Sharma,
But is-
Kanhaiya Kumar,
Kanhaiya-
who are you
okay,
talking
okay,
yeah.
Kanhaiya Kumar.
Right.
But you also remember the Sharjeel Imam case, chicken leg, that is also
No, sir, I'm not
correct.
talking about
Daily
Sharjeel
Rats-
Imam. I'm just
Daily
talking
Rats
about
is
that
not
one
correct.
particular video.
All of them have not been given bail by the Supreme Court, and people in the opposition are trying the murder of democracy.
Sir,
I may have made one mistake in my observation, but are other observations wrong?
No, sir. I'm just
is the
okay.
point.
I'm just no. It's not an argument. I'm just telling you of that one particular video. All right, last 10 seconds. Let's get a word in each. Rajat Sethi, go first. Then we'll go to Sanjay Jha and Dr. Ajoy Kumar. Go ahead. Sir, you're on mute. Mute.
So sorry, see, you don't require video proofs when it comes to JNU. These used to be printed on the walls. Manipur ki ho ke rahegi azadi, Assam bhi lega azadi. These are printed on the walls. So again, leave JNU aside. It's beyond redemption. But coming to the moot point, again, our institutions are strong. There have been repeated attacks over the past few years. There have been thematic attacks which have fallen flat, primarily because opposition has not produced any kind of conclusive in-the-face evidence so far. We've been making statements, but with no proof.
All right. But for a lot of scholars who studied in JNU, some of them in governance right now and ministers, I take offense to that JNU is beyond redemption. You're entitled to your point of view. Sanjay Jha, quickly, sir, 10 seconds.
Preeti, as a seasoned journalist, I'm hoping you'll agree with me that for the Prime Minister to go to Manipur after 2 years and more, I think is, frankly speaking, the most disappointing performance by any Prime Minister since history. We all know what happened there. And my second point,
quickly, sir.
India's demographic dividend story has been destroyed. Unemployment has actually taken away the dreams of our youth. And if the government still wants to live in a fool's paradise,
allow me to go to Dr. Kumar and then I need to close the show. Go ahead, sir. Dr. Ajoy Kumar.
So only today, the BJP government in Maharashtra waived off 100 crores of fine against mega engineering who gave them 500 crores. And they talk about political integrity on electoral bonds. They formed government with Mehbooba Mufti, called a separatist, formed a government. Changasi nationalist, yaar. What kind of nationalist?
All right, allow me to close the show on that note. Thank you, all four of you, for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Viewers, let's go back to the latest coming in from Nepal of what we saw over the course of the last few days, where there was complete anarchy which was gripping Nepal. Normalcy now gradually returning, but not with the aftermath of what has been left in Nepal. Over 30 dead, thousands are critically injured. The government has fallen. According to the latest reports from Nepal, there is a consensus now within Gen Z protesters to make former Chief Justice of Nepal, Sushila Karki, as the head of government, the interim transitional Prime Minister. An online poll was conducted on a messaging app where Sushila Karki emerged as the front runner to lead the interim government. Army troops have now spread across Kathmandu and other cities, enforcing restrictions and restoring calm. Kathmandu International Airport, which was shut due to violent protests, was reopened this afternoon. Curfew to stay in place till 6 a.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, reports suggest over 13,000 prisoners in Nepal have escaped from different jails across the country. Indian intelligence agencies are also monitoring the unrest very carefully.
राष्ट्रको सर्वोपरि हितको रक्षा गर्नु हामी सबैको साझा कर्तव्य हो। तसर्थ यस विषम परिस्थितिबाट राष्ट्रलाई शान्तिपूर्ण तवरले निकास दिनको लागि आन्दोलनरत समूहलाई आन्दोलनका कार्यक्रमहरू स्थगन गरी वार्ताको निमित्त आह्वान गर्दछौँ।
India Today brought you pictures from the streets of Nepal where the violence erupted and the Gen Z crowd took over the entire law and order of the Nepal and Kathmandu yesterday. We gave you pictures as to how violence happened on the streets of Nepal. We gave you pictures as to how every property that was a symbol of Nepali political class was set on fire, whether it be the private property or the traffic installations. And India Today is now giving you exclusive pictures from inside Nepal's parliament, which was set on fire by the Gen Z protesters yesterday. And we are getting you those exclusive visuals from inside the Nepal's parliament, inside the complex, inside the Nepal Parliament House, where the law was drafted and legislations were brought into effect. This is the main entrance of the main complex of the floor of the house, and from here the lawmakers used to come. The Prime Minister, the cabinet ministers would take same steps, but probably they forgot as to why they were brought here. This is the entire grand structure which has been now brought down by the Gen Z crowd, and it's the heat can be felt even 24 hours later. The pictures that we are bringing to you, you can see the pillar structures that have come down, crashing down because of the possibly blast. These are the iron structures which are shattered at this point in time, and from here where I'm standing I can feel intense heat coming from there. The reason being that even 24 hours later, what we see is that the flames are still coming out of the Parliament House, and this is the floor of the house. Remember, from where you can see the flames which are still ablaze inside the floor of the house of the Parliament building of the Parliament complex in Nepal.
वो शख्स हैं जो 5 बार नेपाली कांग्रेस के नेता भी हैं, 5 बार प्रधानमंत्री रह चुके हैं, और उनके घर के भीतर का हाल हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। किस तरीके से भीड़ ने, मॉब ने उनके घर को पूरी तरीके से जला दिया है। अगर आप देखें चारों तरफ तो उनके सारे सामान बिखरे पड़े हैं। हमने आपको भी घर के बाहर का हाल दिखाया। भीतर जितने बेड हैं, बक्से हैं, लोगों ने लगता है पूरा बक्सा जो संदूक है उसे लूट लिया है। इस तरह की तस्वीरें आपको दिखाई देंगी। बेड पूरी तरीके से निकाला हुआ है। इसका मतलब है कि तोड़फोड़ के साथ साथ ज़बरदस्त तरीके से लूटपाट भी इसमें दिखाई देती है। हम आपको दिखाएं किस तरीके से जलाया गया है इस पूरे घर को। अगर आप देखेंगे तो आपको अंदाज़ा लगेगा। ये उनका घर, और कुछ इस तरीके से पूरी तरीके से जलकर खाक हुआ है। हम इस वक्त नेपाल के धनगढ़ी में हैं, और ये जो घर है ये नेपाल के पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री शेर बहादुर देउबा का है। धनगढ़ी में कभी उन्होंने घर खरीदा था, लेकिन जिस तरीके से भीड़ ने उनके घर को जला दिया है, आप इसका अंदाज़ा लगा लीजिए। ये पूरा घर है जिसमें कि सारे सामान को बाहर निकाल करके जलाने की कोशिश की गई। घर को पूरी तरीके से रैंसैक, पूरी तरीके से तोड़ दिया गया है, और जो घर इस वक्त आपको इस जली हुई हालत में दिखाई दे रहा है ये धनगढ़ी है। जी हाँ, यहाँ से कभी उनकी पत्नी चुनाव लड़ी थी, उन्होंने ये घर खरीदा था, और ये घर इस वक्त किस हालत में है आप अंदाज़ा लगाइए। यानी कि पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री के खिलाफ का जो गुस्सा है लोगों का, वो आपको यहाँ पर दिखाई देगा। ये पूरा उनके घर का इलाका है, और अगर आप देखेंगे तो किस हालत में उनका घर है आपको अंदाज़ा लगेगा। हम दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि लोगों का जो गुस्सा है वो किस कदर भड़का है। और आप देखें ऊपर नीचे 2-3 मंजिल का ये पूरा घर है, और पूरी बुरी तरीके से इसे न सिर्फ तोड़ा गया है बल्कि चुन कर इसमें आग लगाया गया है।
The situation on the ground in Birganj continues to remain tense. However, the Nepal army has now tried to take control of the situation on ground zero, and right now I am present at the Ghantaghar Chowk in Birganj, which has been the epicenter of past 2 days. The movement, the revolution that is going on in Kathmandu, its after effects has also been witnessed in Birganj. For the last 2 days, several parts of Birganj has been burning, and epicenter was the Ghantaghar Chowk, and you can see pictures here yesterday night, yesterday afternoon, how this area was literally burning. Several vehicles were torched here, several buildings, the public buildings were also set on fire. So the protesters went on a vandalism, they went on a rampage. The entire city was in chaos yesterday, and following Prime Minister Oli's resignation, thereafter the situation went out of hand, and now what we are learning is that since last night, the Nepal army has been given instructions to take control of the situation, and that is why today we are seeing on ground zero, Birganj, that army personnel are present here in large numbers, especially in the Ghantaghar Chowk area, to ensure that peace and normalcy is returned in this area. And several army personnel you can see here, they are manning this entire area, not allowing anyone to move or crisscross this entire area, especially the protesters. And the situation in Kathmandu and various parts of Nepal, however, continues to remain tense because there is no government here in Nepal at this point of time. And as far as Birganj is also concerned, there is some sort of a peace here in the town, in the heart of the town, in Ghantaghar area. But on the outskirts of Birganj, we are learning that still protesters are indulging in violence. With camera person Deepak Kumar, this is Rohit Singh on ground zero, Birganj in Nepal for India Today.
With that, we're going to keep a keen eye on all developments, get you the latest coming in from Nepal. Right now, things are calm. There is an uneasy calm, if one can be precise on that, from what we saw yesterday, which was abject anarchy. Continuous coverage from Nepal by our reporters.